In this video, I'm going to talk about how I used to be terrified of microphones and I never wanted to use one, really worried about being on stage, and now I feel more comfortable on the stage than anywhere else. Keep watching and I'll explain exactly how I did it. So many years ago, I moved to a place called Gran Canaria in the Canary Islands, just near the coast of Africa, a long way from where I'm originally from in Wales in the UK. And it was a resort, still is a resort for tourists with lots and lots of party bars and nightclubs and things like this. And I always had it in my mind that I liked the idea of being a DJ or something like this. And I had lots of friends that were DJs, lots of friends that were running bars. I used to run a public relations team for a big nightclub in Gran Canaria in Puerto Rico, right in the south. And I was with a girlfriend many years ago now in a particular bar called Lineker's. It's a very famous footballer called Gary Lineker, and that was his bar. And there was a friend of mine called Jimmy from Yorkshire, and he used to DJ in this bar. And he was very confident, very funny. And I was sat at the bar, and he was actually on the other side of the bar. That's the way it was formatted in there. The DJ would be behind the bar, so everybody's looking at the bar from everywhere in the pub. A really kind of cool idea. And so I sat at the bar with my girlfriend at the time, and I said to Jimmy, I said, one day I'm going to be working here. And I was kind of joking. And he passed me the microphone. He gave me the microphone. He said, all right, just say something, anything. I had the microphone. And I couldn't speak, and I completely crumbled, and it was quite funny. Even I thought it was funny. So I gave him the microphone back, and he just laughed and walked off. Because you get a lot of people that always say, you know, I want to do your job, I can do your job. And I wasn't saying it to be funny or to be rude or like that. I just said, one day I'm going to work here, because that was kind of my dream, to be able to do something different than what I was doing. And so that was the end of that for a while. But I kept on thinking about it. And this is where the interesting thing comes in, because I kept on thinking about it. And I kept on picturing myself do it. And it was almost like I was daydreaming about it all the time. And then I got an opportunity to work in a hotel called the Calanova Hotel. And I went to this hotel, and I was by myself, and I had to set everything up that I'd been shown how to do previously. So I had the microphone, still never used one. And there was about 14 people in the audience. And so I decided I'd go around and speak to all these people individually, each table. So 2 people, 4 people, 2 people, whatever it was. Go and introduce myself. And then in my mind, I was friends with these people already. So it didn't matter what happened with the microphone. It's like a sense of security. So eventually picked up the microphone and I said a few things, and no one even cared. A few people looked at me, a few people carried on looking what they were doing, and no one really cared. And then you start to realize, oh, hang on a minute, you know, no one really cares. So practice. And then 1 year after that, I ended up resident DJ in that actual bar, Lineker's bar in Puerto Rico. So I was working there in front of lots of people doing the party games every single night. And so without realizing, I'd used visualization. I never knew what visualization was, but I'd used visualization by imagining myself doing these things, and then eventually being able to do them, and then finding a way to break that worry in my mind by introducing myself to the people, starting off small, and then moving to the bigger picture. So speaking to 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then all of them, and then all of them on the microphone. And this was kind of an accelerated sort of progression to where I needed to be in that moment. So this is now, obviously I'm a trained hypnotherapist. Now I realize exactly what I did, but I did it by accident, because visualization is key to everything. And when you want to speak to a group of people, you're always better off speaking to 1, and then a few more, and then a few more, and then eventually it makes a difference because you've already spoken to them all. In fact, the way to look at it is it's easier to use a microphone because you don't want to go to every single table explaining things. You can just use the microphone, so it's a great way to think about it. And so anyway, I DJ'd in this bar. I DJ'd in a few other bars afterwards, nightclubs and things. And then I was running an entertainment program in a different hotel, a much bigger hotel than the first one, with hundreds of people in front of me. And I wanted to be a stage hypnotist. And I wasn't really sure if I could do it or not, but there was a hypnotist that we had called Peter the Great. he was very famous over there. He used to do a hypnosis stage show in all the hotels, all the good hotels, and some of the bigger show bars. And so he was working in the hotel that I was working, and I was planning on finishing work at the end of that summer and doing something different. So I thought, why not do this? Although I hadn't got a clue. I'd watched loads of his shows, so many of his shows. And so at the end of the summer, his last show, I said to him, because we were good friends at the time, I said, can I do this, what you're doing? And he said, 100% you can do this. I was like, really? He was like, 100% you can do this. I was like, wow. So he recommended that I read this book by Ormond McGill, the Encyclopedia of Hypnosis. Excuse the noises of the dogs, they're going crazy because someone's just rang the bell. But that happens. And so I read the book a couple of times. I read lots of other books. I was speaking to hypnotists online, stage hypnotists. I was doing everything I could. But I'd never hypnotized anyone. Anyway, this went on. I did various other things. I bought a restaurant. I distracted myself from the actual goal. But then I got back onto it. And then I spent 6 months with a script in a notepad like this, and had all my script written out of what I was going to do. And because I'd learned to hypnotize people, even though I hadn't, the safety elements, everything, I was really thorough. I knew exactly what I needed to do. So I had all my script written out, and every single morning for 6 months I was going to boxing at this gym, and I was walking, I was reading and reading and reading and reading, and then I learnt it, and then I put it away, and then I was walking every single morning. I was reciting it out loud, and I did it that much because obviously now I'm in tune with visualization. I've used it before by accident, but now I've learnt about it because it's a huge part of hypnotherapy and hypnosis. But now I'm just learning to hypnotize people, not for hypnotherapy. And I've done it, but I'm going every single morning to this gym, and I did it that much, and I visualized it that much, as if I was really in this particular bar in another part of Gran Canaria. I had it all pictured, that I changed what I was going to say about 4 or 5 times, although I was actually really doing it. It was bizarre. And so anyway, 6 months after I began this, I was ready. And so my girlfriend at the time thought I was crazy. Everybody thought I was crazy, but I went to this bar in a place called Playa de Ingles in Gran Canaria, 20 minutes away in the car. And I'd had these huge posters made, and they were 2 meters big, with a picture of me with a microphone in a suit, Europe's #1 hypnotist, James Anthony. I even changed my name to have a stage name from Jamie Clark to James Anthony. I thought this was really important. So this is what I did, and I went to see the owner of this bar, the manager of the bar, and I spoke to him, and I said, I'm here to do some shows. I'd love to do one in your place. And he said to me, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, but I love your poster. I love you. You know what you're talking about. He said, come and do one. So the next week I went. My friend dropped me off, and they were like, are you sure you're going to do this? Because I'd never hypnotized anyone, but I just knew. I had this confidence because I felt like I'd already done it. So I put my posters up on either side of the stage, set the chairs up, and I did my show. I had 9 volunteers. 6 of them I hypnotized, 3 of them I put back into the audience, and then I just stood there and looked at these people, and I thought to myself, uh-oh, it's worked. That's what I thought. And so I crumbled for about 3 seconds, but then I remembered on the microphone I had a list of what I was going to do. And so I looked at my microphone, had a look at the first one, and then carried on. And it was hilarious. It was really good. It was really, it was a nice show. And so I completed that, and then I did 10 shows, and then I had a disaster show, as in not many people volunteered. The people that did weren't serious. They didn't get hypnotized. But by this point, it didn't matter because by this point, I was so confident that you're always going to get a few people that are going to, especially in this environment where you're on a stage in a bar or in a big hotel, the people aren't going to be serious. They're not going to listen to you or whatever. So it's a numbers game in a way. It's not like when somebody comes and sees me for hypnotherapy now, and that you've got their full attention, they want to do it. So that's completely different. So I smashed it, but I'd never done it before, and no one can ever believe that. They're always like, well, how? And it was visual. Well, obviously I learned how to do it. I learned everything. I read and read and read. I read these books 10 times each. I asked 1 million questions to 1 million people. I was really thorough. But more than that, once I'd designed it, I just focused on it as if I was really doing it. You know, the movements with the people, sitting the people down, putting the people under, pulling on the hands, the different techniques that I would use, talking to the audience, presenting the show in a way that I'm not blocking. Everything was in here because I just pictured it over and over and over and over again. Now, for me, I look at it back and think, well, it was quite easy because I just did it as a process. But in reality, if I really think about somebody telling me that same story, I think they were crazy, because that's it's a kind of risk, big risk, and to do that, you've got to have some serious confidence. So it just goes to show, from being that person that took a microphone and couldn't say one word, to being that person that turned up and pretended to be Europe's #1 hypnotist and do an amazing show. To be honest, for my first show, definitely was amazing to get 6 out of 9. To do that just goes to show that you can literally go from there to there, but you just have to know how to do it. Now, the first time I just did it by accident, because I kept on imagining that I could do it, and after a while I kind of convinced myself. But this is visualization without even realizing it. So visualization is key, and anything is possible. I mean, imagine it. You see these people on TV doing different things, like presenting shows or whatever, and you think, oh wow, they must be lucky. But you think about it, you can do it, can't you? When you think about it, you can imagine that you can do these things, and then if you do it enough, like I did, and really believe it to the point where you actually feel like you're on the stage, or feel like you're in that situation that you want to be in, that's it. You've cracked it. So visualization is key. I love talking about visualization because it changed my life, and it can change yours too. So picture every single bit that you need in this puzzle, and then the puzzle will be completed, and you will become the person that you want to be. And then again, and then again, and then again. And the funny thing is, this is very true for me, I always visualize things that are not too big. But in reality, we've got to start visualizing things that are massive now, because there's no boundaries to this. Visualization will change your life. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you've enjoyed the silly story, but there we go, from A to B, in a very strange way. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video. Leave a comment if you've done anything a little bit scary, out of your comfort zone, if you've talked yourself into something, if you've used visualization before. I'd love to hear about it. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching.